Assalamu alaikum. The next question we have here is 7 out of 8 of a can of drink is water. The rest is syrup. Now, what is the ratio of water to syrup? Now, to begin with, we may talk about it for a while that we have a can, a drink. This drink mostly is water, 7 out of 8. When I say the rest is syrup, by rest I mean the remainder, which means that 1 out of 8 is actually the syrup quantity or the syrup fraction. Now the question wants a ratio. It doesn't want a fraction. So to write a ratio, I must think about the number of parts of water, which is obviously 7. Now how many parts are actually syrup? 1. So the ratio of water to syrup is simply 7 to 1, which is written exactly like this. If the question wants us to calculate the ratio of water to syrup, we must flip the ratio. It must become 1 to 7. Our next example is about a school in which we have 55% are boys and the rest, of course, are girls. Part A of the question wants you to calculate the ratio of boys to girls. Part B of the question wants you to calculate the number of boys and the number of girls in the school if the number of total students is 800 students. Now, this is the question I want you to solve as a homework and send it to me before the next Thursday. So let's move on to the next question. This question is about a piece of wood. This piece of wood is cut in the ratio 2 to 3. Now, since we know the ratio, we may be able to write fractions. What fraction of the length is the longer piece? Now, like we talked about in the first example, the longer piece is definitely what 3 belongs to, because 3 is bigger than 2. So, the longer piece is actually 3 out of something. This is a fraction. It must be divided by something. What is the denominator we should put down there? When a piece of wood is cut into the ratio 2 to 3, it means that the number of parts, all parts, is 5 because 2 plus 3 is 5. So the solution will be simply to add 2 plus 3 and that's 5. Now, the longer piece fraction is actually 3 divided by 5, and that's it. Now, this question needs a bit more work. It's about a quadrilateral. This quadrilateral is actually a 4-sided shape. What I mean is a shape which is more of 4 sides. Now, when we have a 4-sided shape, it could be a square, a rectangle, a trapezium, anything. But if you look at these angles, now the angles are in a certain ratio, 1 to 2 to 3 to 3, which means the angles are not the same. So this may not be a square, it may not be a rectangle. Now, what else could it be? We have so many quadrilaterals or 4-sided shapes in math. Now, if we talk about any quadrilateral, we may know the sizes of all angles altogether, right? If the number you're thinking about is 360, then you're doing good so far. So all angles together add up to 360 degrees, but each angle is different from the other. So I must use this 360 degrees in order to calculate the size of each angle alone. Now to do this, I need a paper to work on. First of all, let's write the ratio down. 1 to 2 to 3 to 3. If I know that 360 is the total sum of angles, then I must add the parts of the ratio. I must add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3, which would be 9, of course. This 9 is the total number of parts of angles. Now to calculate the first angle, angle number 1, that would be the first part of the ratio 1 divided by 9, which is the total parts, multiplied by the sum of the angles 360 degrees. Of course, this is exactly 40 degrees. Now, angle number 2 is 2 out of 9 multiplied by 360 degrees, which is actually 80 degrees. Now, if you notice that angle 3 is exactly equal to angle 4, which is 3 out of 9 multiplied by 360, which is exactly 120 degrees. Now, if you look at my numbers here, you may find that I actually calculated 4 angles, 40, 80, 120, and 120. And the sum, of course, is 360. So this is the answer of this question, which is question number 12. Now this is the end of our lesson actually. We have question 13. Let's remember this is from exercise 6.4, okay? Now question 13 talks about a triangle which has 3 angles, of course, in the ratio 3 to 5 to 4. To calculate the size of each angle, you need to do exactly what we did in question 12, but I'm going to give you a hint. If this is a triangle, then the sum of these angles will not be 360. What else could it be? It is 180 degrees. So the way to begin with this question is to write fractions, use 180 degrees as the sum of angles of any triangle. Then you will be able to calculate what? 3 angles in the same time. Now let's see how this works out. If the ratio of the angles is 3 to 5 to 4, and the sum of the angles, of course, if I add them together, that's going to give me 12, right? 3 plus 5, that's 8, plus 4, that's 12. So the first angle, angle number 1, will be 3 out of 12 multiplied by the 180 degrees, which is the total size of the 3 angles all together. Now, if we do the math, this will give us exactly 45 degrees. Now, to calculate the second angle, what we have to do is to divide 5 out of 12, multiply that by 180 degrees, and this will give us, let's see, 70 degrees. 75 degrees actually. I'm sorry for that. 75 degrees. Now the third angle is 4 out of 12 multiplied by 180, which is exactly 60 degrees. Now let's do the math. If we add 45 to 75, that would be 120 degrees plus 60 degrees. This is perfect. This is 180 degrees. So if the ratio of the angles are 3 to 5 to 4, that means that the sizes of the angles are 45 degrees, 75 degrees, and 60 degrees respectively. Thank you, and see you next week.